Hey guys, this is lesson 8.2 for pre-algebra. The title of this lesson, whoops, I went too fast, is Equations with Two Variables. So, there is going to be a lot of graphing in chapter 8 and solving equations and slope and all of that. So just be ready for it. So here is some new vocabulary. Solution is an ordered pair that makes an equation true. So if I had y equals 2x plus 3. A solution to this would be if x is 1, that would be 2 times 1 is 2, plus 3 is 5. Or if x is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, plus 3 is 7. There are lots of different solutions for this equation. So this is what all your equations will look like. And then you will have different solutions that go with them. A linear equation is any equation whose graph is a straight line. Hence the word line written in the word linear. Whenever you think of the word linear, you should automatically think of the word line. It's anything that has a straight line. Okay, so finding a solution. So here's what they're going to ask you. Find the solution of y equals 4x minus 3 for x equals 2. So this is what it looks like. So they're going to give you this equation, y equals 4x minus 3. And they want you to make x 2. So you have to find the solution. So really all you're doing is putting 2 in for x. So if you look here, replace x with 2. This is step 1. Replace x with 2. So I put the 2 in. And then I do 4 times 2 is 8. And then I get 8 minus 3 is 5. So my solution is 2, 5. If you remember, or if you don't remember, you might want to write this down. It goes x, y. X is always this first one. And y is the second one. It goes in alphabetical order. So you're going to do x, y. So find the solution. So try this. Try these two problems and then we'll go over. Find the solution of y equals 2x minus 1 for x is negative 3. And find the solution for y equals negative 4x plus 3 for x is negative 3. All right, so I write my equation, y equals 2x minus 1. They want x to be negative 3. So I'm going to put negative 3 in for x. So I would have y equals 2 times negative 3 minus 1. So y equals negative 6 minus 1. So y equals negative 7. So my solution, I would do x, y. So I would do negative 3, negative 7. This is the solution. So next I have y equals negative 4x plus 3. And they want x to be negative 3. So then I do y equals negative 4 times negative 3 plus 3. So then I would get y equals 12 plus 3, so y equals 15. So my solution is negative 3, 15. Okay, graphing linear equations. So linear equations are going to be what? A line, linear. So they're going to be a line. So I know that this is going to be a line. So when I want to graph something, so they might give you an equation. Let's say they give you y equals 2x minus 3. And they say graph it. Well, what you're going to do is first make a table. And it looks like this, an x and a y table. Okay? And then your x values, you can pretty much put in anything you want. A lot of times, they will give you what they want you to use. So here they're giving me use -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. They're telling me what I need to use. If they don't tell you, just pick these, or just pick -1, 0, 1, and 2, whatever you think. Plug the x value into the equation and solve for y. So, if I were to solve this, I would take this number, -2, my first number, and I'd plug it in for x. So I would do 2 times -2, which is -4, minus 3 is -7. So then my x and my y would be -2, -7, and then I could go to a graph and I could graph that. So this is how you do it. So let's practice, okay? So now it wants you to graph, graph y equals 4x minus 2. This is just showing you an example. 4x minus 2. So here are the numbers that you choose. -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2. You plug it into this equation and then you get your answers. Once you get your answers, you go to your graph and you graph it. So this first one, -2, -10. I start at 0, I go -2, and then I go down 10, and this is this point, -2, -10. This one, -1, -6. I go over 1, down 6. So that's -1, -6. Now, when I'm done, I connect my dots, and I should have a straight line. Remember, these are linear functions, which means that your answer is going to be a line. So you need to make sure when you're graphing that you have a line. If you don't come out with a line, then you got a problem. All right, so try this one on your paper, and then we'll go over it. Okay, so I have my variables, or my -2, -1, 0, 1, and 2, and I'm going to plug them into my equation. So I'm going to do 2 right here, this 2 times x, and they want x to be -2, plus 1 right there, plus 1. So 2 times -2 is -4, plus 1 is -3. All right, -1. 2 times -1 is -2, plus 1 is -1. 2 times 0 is 0, plus 1 is 1. 2 times 1 is 2, plus 1 is 3. And 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So now, when I graph, I'm going to graph this number as my x and this number as my y. So if I were to write them as ordered pairs, it would be this. -2, I'm going to go over -2 and down 3. So then that is my dot, -2, -3. Then I'm going to do -1, -1. And then I'm going to do 0, 1. And then I'm going to do over 1 up 3. And then I'm going to do over 2 up 5. And I connect my dots and I have a straight line. And when you connect your dots, the line goes on forever. I could keep picking x's. I could pick x's -20 and my line would still keep going on and on. So whenever I connect my dots, I keep it going and then I draw an arrow at either end of my line. Okay, so try this one. Y equals 1/2 x minus 4. So I have 1/2 times -2 minus 4. 1/2 times -2 is -1 minus 4 is -5. 1/2 of -1 is -1/2 minus 4 is -4.5. 1/2 times 0 minus 4 is -4. 1/2 times 1 is 1/2 minus 4 is -3.5. And then 1/2 times 2 is 1 minus 4 is negative 3. So if I graph this, I get negative 2, negative 5, negative 1, negative 4.5. This is going to be hard to see. 0, negative 4, 1, negative 3.5, and then 2, negative 3. I connect my dots and I keep my line going. Now, some people this takes like 20 minutes. It should not take that long. You need to know your fast math facts in order to get this going. You are not using a calculator. Okay, horizontal and vertical lines. So write this down in your notes. You really don't need to write all this writing, but I want you to definitely write these examples. So y equals 2. If I just gave you graph y equals 2, this is a little bit different because it's going to be a horizontal line that goes through the y-axis, see the y-axis, at 2. So that's what that looks like. A vertical line is x equals 2. It's going to go through the x-axis. It goes through it at 2. It does not match up with it. Some people like to think it goes the same way as the x-axis, but it doesn't. It goes through the x at 2. So that's what that means. All right, so solve. Negative 3x plus 2y equals 6 for y, and then graph the equation. This will be an example that you have to do. So now, you're going to be given this equation, negative 3x plus 2y equals 6. In order for me to graph this, I have to first solve it for y. So if you remember that lesson we did in chapter 7 where you had to solve for different variables, that's where this comes in. So I'm going to draw my line. I'm going to add 3x to both sides. So now I have 2y equals 3x plus 6, and then I divide by 2. So I'm going to have y equals 3x divided by 2 is 1.5, or 3 over 2x plus 3. So now when I graph this, I'm going to make my table, and I'm going to make an x and a y table. And then I'm going to fill in my variables for x, my numbers for x. So I'm going to do negative 2, negative 1, 0, 1, and 2. All right, so 3 halves, or 1.5, times negative 2, and you could set it up like that if that's easier for you to do, and then plus 3. So negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3 plus 3 is 0. I got negative 6 because I multiplied these two numbers together, and then I divided it by 2. So 3 over 2 times negative 1 over 1 plus 3. So 3 times negative 1 is negative 3 divided by 2 is negative 1.5. So 0. Oh, plus 3. So that's a positive 1.5. Sorry. 3 over 2 times 0 is 0, plus 3 is 3. 1. 3 over 2 times 1 is 1.5, plus 3, so that's 4.5. And then 2. 3 over 2 times 2 over 1 is 6 over 2, which is 3, plus 3 is 6. So now if I graph, I'm going to go negative 2, 0, negative 1, 1.5, 0, 3, 1, 4.5, and 2, 6. And then I draw my line. And now you've just graphed this function right here. I've just graphed that equation. All right, that is it for your notes.